So I do enjoy tailgating, having cut my teeth, learning how to tailgate at Penn State as an undergrad, and then working with the University of Notre Dame, and they know how to tailgate pretty nicely. And as a sports medicine doctor, I probably am the worst sports information person you ever meet because I don't know stats. I know people's first name and may not know their last name. In fact, back in the 90s, I didn't know who Allen Iverson was when he was with the 76ers, and that was the year he was a rookie for the 76ers, and I had to take care of him. And I didn't know who Pete Sampras was, and I lifted weights with a guy after a tennis tournament, and I didn't know that he was a tennis star. So there's sometimes not knowing things, you treat people just like you treat anybody. So lots of unique stories from that and from working with different, elite and non-elite athletes. No, it's the International Weightlifting Federation, so the IWF. So this is their logo. And I've been with the IWF as their medical director for Masters International Program. So this is old geezers and old geezerettes, I guess, lifting really heavy weight. So the issue is as we age, we don't always know our limits. Okay, we think we're still 25 years old, but our bodies are 60 or 50 or 40 or whatever. And so our brain says, yes, I can lift that up, and the body says, no, you're not. And they pop things and dislocate things and rupture things. And my job was to try to put it back into where it's supposed to be. Many neat stories. And I've been with them since 1998, so 23 years. The Tokyo Olympics are going to be very interesting. As COVID seems to be ravaging the Japanese population right now, number one. Number two, the culture of providing safety, and I think is important. So they're changing the rules of a typical games. So there's going to have a decrease in volunteer physicians, trainers, nutritionists. So I will be with Team USA. We will be announcing our Olympic squad, which will be 4 men and 4 women, representing us in USA weightlifting. It's the largest team we've taken since probably close to ever, at least in modern, since the 1970s. My great-great-uncle, his name's Calixa Lavallee, and Calixa spells C-A-X-I-L-A. And Calixa basically wrote O Canada, the Canadian national anthem, to the sound of O Christmas Tree, or O Tenenbaum, if you know those Christmas songs. But that's, sort of the same score, but the words. And he wrote it in the late 1800s, and he used to write for opera houses. So that's where he sort of made his living. He just sort of penned this, and that's for what he will probably be forever remembered outside of some of the operas he wrote.
That's so.
In 1993, U2 was getting ready for the world tour. There's a Europa tour. They, in the summer of 1993, were practicing at Hershey. Now, I had been up all night in surgery, surgical rotation, and I was an EMT paramedic, or an EMT firefighter, with Hershey EMS. So my friend called me up, and we, of course, got dressed up. We had complete access to the stadium, and got to hang out with U2. And Bono came up to us, who's the lead singer, and he's like, I can't do a really good Irish accent, which is horrible. And he like, you guys look hungry, and we're like, yeah. And they had a big buffet with like lobster tail and fillets, and we got to eat a little bit with U2, so that was sort of fun. Because I was morbidly obese as a end of my teenage years. And I have a condition called Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that affects your skin and joints, makes your skin a little more breakable and bruisable, and your joints can dislocate. So I grew up with this, and I didn't know any better. I just joints sort of popped out of socket a lot. And Hopkins, at the time, in the early 80s, didn't have a lot of science, and they said, well, if you probably are so fragile, you probably shouldn't do any activity. So I followed their rules and didn't do any sports after a while. And that only got me to get big because I enjoyed Big Macs, French fries, and Coca-Cola Reese's peanut butter cups. Met this gentleman in organic chemistry. He started talking to me about fitness, and I'm like, I can't do that. Doctors say I can't do that. And he just sort of had that I had this aha moment, and he sort of said, well, how's that going? Not doing. And I noticed I kept getting weight, and my joints hurt. So eventually he took me under his wing and trained me, and that was life-changing in the sense that I went from obese to normal weight. I stopped having dislocations. My joint pain disappeared. The scars remained, but my self-image improved. My confidence, my energy improved. So it was a huge aha moment, to the point where his name's Dr. Brett Sabota, and he's actually part of UPMC now. He's an ear, nose, and throat doctor, just sort of came on board. So I give a shout out to Brett because he changed my life. Twofold. Live life with passion. If you're going to do something, do it with your heart and soul. Enjoy it, whether it's your work life, your private life, your spiritual life. The other one is, I would have not listened to those well-meaning physicians, and I would have been active my whole entire life. Stages. But one of my hobbies is right here. I'll just pull this out from the picture. But I like to restore antique Willys Jeeps. So I got a 1946 Willys that I restored, and that little kid is now 23 years old. That was my son, so this is back a long time ago.